if you're getting ready to sell and you're not entirely sure of what design elements are going to look best for your home, my suggestion would be to go to the nicest, most expensive neighborhood in your area that shares some of those same characteristics. So what made me think of this is I'm walking through the nice area and I get so many ideas about the plants to plant, landscaping ideas about what paint colors to use, landscaping ideas for curb appeal. You know, what are the borders people are using that are appealing? What are the gravel colors that people are using that are appealing in my area? It's really helpful to get ideas for your particular area because, you know, I've lived in Idaho, Arizona, Texas, California, and people prefer different things in different areas. So that'd be a great place to start. Here's some of the houses that I took pictures of on my Carpia walk this morning. So first we have this super modern farmhouse. It's on a very weird lot. But some of the things I like about this in particular is the simplicity, which is great for pre-sale because it leaves a lot for potential buyers to fill in. So there's nothing here that a potential buyer would find unappealing or make it feel like it's not their home. So it's essentially a blank slate. And if somebody has a little bit of quirkier style, they may be like, oh, I would put this here. I would put this bench right here. I'd put a little seating area right here. It leaves them the opportunity to do that with this home. Here's it from another angle. It's a weird lot again. So this is actually the front entrance path. What I like about it is I think modern farmhouse as a trend is definitely on its way out. But I think where you can get away with modern farmhouses if it's incredibly simple, like Scandinavian simplicity, minimalism. And I think they're able to do that by keeping the landscaping very clean. It's green, it's herbs, it's shrubs, and the pathway is very straight. The edging is perfectly crisp, and it has this really nice pea gravel that is easy to look at. One last angle, and this one's interesting because of the fence. I took a picture of this fence because in Dallas, this is not the type of fence that people have. In general, they have a board on board fence, but for this home, I really like this. And so if you were walking around and your home needed something a little more interesting, or it leaned modern, this would be a fence style maybe I would pick up on and consider using. It's actually right across the street. And what I like about this one is I love the metal steps. Now, this is very custom. This would be at a higher price point probably because it's not going to be inexpensive to do, but how they utilized this as opposed to concrete and were able to terrace and deal with the slope of the lot, I think was really beautiful. And I also like the herb garden that they have going on over here as well. So, an interesting way to spice up an otherwise like boring just lawn area. Now, again, I was going to say this only works because the house is pretty modern, but that's not necessarily true. I think if a home is pretty classic and doesn't even feel very modern at all, by adding a modern element like this, it can really make the home feel like a nice balance between modern and traditional. This is actually a pretty classic curb appeal. Uh, there's not all that much you can do when you have terracotta roof like this and wrought iron details. They just worked with what they have. I think if this was not here, the house might feel like a little bit boring. This gives that charm, that sort of fairy tale. that fairy tale element, that fantasy element that we really want with almost any listing. We want buyers to be taken to their Pinterest fantasy, and I think this home has that. Keep in mind, if this home did not have, say, this planter or this bench and this other planter over here, again, it could feel maybe too boring, not enough life. So those little touches, little simple touches, make a huge difference. I love this. This is actually a different home, even though it looks very similar. I love this because it could be boring, technically. This could feel boring, but this beautiful green color is so rich and it pops so much, especially because they paired it with green chairs to the left there. Now, this is just the driveway. This is like a side drive. The front is around the corner, about a quarter way around the house. But considering buyers may approach from this side, they may park here, creating interest and creating a moment, having somebody imagine greeting guests here or just sitting outside the door with their morning coffee. I love it. Classic mid-century modern. This is the appeal here really is, I would say, just the door. They have a beautiful, minimal door that matches the character and time period of the home, and then the handle is stunning, and everything else is super simple. These floating concrete steps are perfect. Obviously, if you were listing, you'd make sure the grass is just like perfectly cut, and everything else is really clean. Unfortunately, the lighting was not good when I took this photo, but this is actually one of my favorites on my walk this morning because, really, I don't really think anybody is sitting in these chaise lounges like Adirondack chairs in the grass in the Texas heat. Maybe they are. Maybe I'm wrong. But the first impression looks so good. There's so much life. It's such a fantasy, and you can't really see, but the front door is like a beautiful rich green that matches these as well. And there are just planters. The landscaping is gorgeous, and I even like, because the home is just white, uh, the contrasting gutters. I can't tell or remember if they were in elevated metal or if they were just a painted standard gutter. My guess is they maybe are a slightly nicer gutter, and that's why they're not painted. They're just the color of the metal, but beautiful. Love the curb appeal. And this is something simple that you could steal from. If you have a huge yard, almost too big, creating this moment could add so much charm to your listing photos. Oh, these berries. These were right next to wherever I was. Love them. This is another side door. Okay, so trend alert, bright side doors. But what I love here is the beautiful pop of red. I'm not even a huge red fan. Beautiful pop of red. And I think with this striped awning, because this is such a traditional look and it just feels rich. The other thing is working with the brick color that you have. What I find interesting here is they have this nice teal, earthy teal for the windows, and then this beautiful green. That's a nice complementary color for the red. And take notes. Also, another note would be, with this brick, the exterior can feel boring. So they decided to paint the gutters the same trim color. So there is that additional pop, which I think is really nice. That's what I learned from my walk today. And I hope you get out and do your own curb appeal walk soon.